Today we'll be speaking with Nicholas Anderson, who is the author of Knock, British Secret Operations, and we'll be speaking specifically about Nicholas himself to give everybody an idea of who he is and what he's up to with his book. Nicholas, go ahead.
Thank you. I think it may be a good idea that listeners know me a bit better, at least electronically. Maybe a good idea too if I went chronologically but briefly. My father is English, my mother is Scottish, that makes me British. I was born in the Far East and grew up in diverse places like Singapore, Hong Kong, Bombay, now Mumbai, and Jakarta. I'm an only child and regularly commuted to boarding school near Darlington, County Durham, in the northeast of England, where my father comes from. I still have family there. After leaving boarding school, I attended a normal school in a nearby town called Stockton-on-Tees. I was in all the sports teams, football, cricket, swimming, athletic, you name it, and represented all the schools in the town itself. I was also a national swimming champion in the butterfly and played football for Newcastle United junior team, despite being a lifelong fan of Sunderland Football Club. That would be like saying to Americans that you support the New York Giants but played for the New York Jets. That was a bummer. Academically, I was above average. I believe I was quite popular among my classmates. And I was the captain of all the sports teams I played in. And later I became an international badminton class player. International class player, I'm sorry. My ambition was to be a fighter pilot, but I gained one pass less than needed, so I joined the Royal Navy Fleet Air Arm as a helicopter pilot instead. I attended Britannia Royal Naval College, Dartmouth, and trained at the Royal Navy Air Station Yaleville before being posted to a series of 700, it's a class of 700 Naval Air Squadrons. I could say the number, but I'm getting into the realms of being the secret servant of the British Crown, so I better not mention the number. I was only flying for 1 year before I was seconded for fast-track training at the Secret Intelligence Service in Gosport near Portsmouth. The place is called Fort Monkston. Looking back, I think I was earmarked from an early stage to become what I ended up doing, because I spoke fluent Russian from spending a year at a university in Moscow in between leaving school and joining the Navy. I remember going down to London on a train, and I looked at my commanding officer's file that he told me to present when I got to London, and it said that I was an out-of-the-box thinker, and it turns out I am. I'm a curious person. The picture I'm painting is that I'm probably born to do what I ended up doing, spying, based on my background and everything about myself. Regarding becoming a non-official cover NOC, this acronym was adopted from the Americanese by NATO, which is actually a United States organization in Europe. As a CIA officer I know, Dwayne DeMello, wrote in his book, he called it that NOCs are one-person stations able to function anywhere in the world. I think that's pretty apt, actually, and described my function. The US has about 150 NOCs worldwide, while the UK has a dozen only. Everything in this game is compartmented, so whenever operations are being planned in one room, you never know what's going about in another room, and you never will know. I worked as an intelligence officer for 19 years in total, first from 1971 to 1983. I was recalled to active duty right after the fall of communism, 1982 to 83, and then again for the Iraq War, 2003 to 2007. I volunteered for one mission in the field since, to Turkmenistan. I occasionally still am asked my knowledge about specific problems in problem areas around the world, usually via secure encrypted email. What's interesting about this commo of theirs is that it's like disappearing ink. Right after reading the email, it deletes itself when you come out. I mean, if you went back to it again, you'll see it's not there anymore. So it deletes from your in and out box. It reminds me of the days when we had photocopiers that could not copy a top secret document either. Back to you, Joseph.
I think that perhaps people might be interested in knowing whether or not Nicholas Anderson is your real name. Can you say anything about that?
Well, obviously it's a pseudonym, but it's based on my real family name. That's all I want to say.
Okay, I see. And if somebody took the information that you've disclosed so far, that's in your book, somebody who is really very good at researching would probably be able to determine your identity. True?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, very good. So I don't know if there's really anything else that I can ask without getting a no. I'm sorry, I can't tell you that. But I think that this series that we're doing, I don't know if you have any comments about the series that we're doing, because this is about your book and your books that you're writing and projects that you're working on in terms of making people aware of what it is that you've been writing about. So is there any way that you could sum up what you're pretty much up to in terms of writing these books and kind of disclosing what it is that you know for the benefit of the readers?
Well, obviously, I'm writing a trilogy. The first one is out. The second one is almost completed. I want people to know about what goes on in the world. And I do believe that the Russians and the Americans could not agree to build a bridge, so they dug a hole for all of us.
I think
and
that...
one more thing.
Oh, sure,
one
go ahead.
more thing. When people read a book or watch a film, they think, how could somebody do all of these things? But the truth is, 95% of the time, and if you served in the armed forces, you would agree with this, 95% of the time, nothing is happening. And then 4%, something is happening, and then 1%, you wet your pants. I've basically written about all the 4 and 1% that happened in my life, and I jumbled it all into one book, and I've got 2 more to go. So that's the way one writes it, and that's the way it's filmed.
Very good. Well, unless there is anything else that you can think of that you would like to add on to this particular interview, this is our last one in the series that we're doing. Of course, there may be room for more in the future with the publishing of the next book that you have coming out, which is in 2012, that is scheduled to be published. But for now, we're doing this series of 10 videos and interviews to give people a closer look at what it is that you've been writing about. Is there anything that you'd like to close on?
Obviously, I would say if you read my book, there's more information than we've talked about today. You would find out which controller I served in, that I worked in SIS headquarters for a while in Westminster Bridge Road in Lambeth, London. And then my first posting was in Copenhagen, and 5 years after that, I went to Bern Station. So, yes, you'll find out more from reading the book, I hope.
Okay. Well, I strongly encourage people to go and take a look and pick up one of your books, whether it's an ebook or a paper back cover. And they can get more information by going to nicholasanderson.info to get information on how they can either look up more information about you or pick up one of your books or stay posted on what it is that you are up to and doing with future book publishing dates and other projects that you're working on. So thank you very much, Nicholas, for your time. Greatly appreciate the time that you've spent talking about your books, and thank you very much.
Thank you too.